Well, welcome back to D&D Dad and Son and Daughter. How are you kids? You, you like your new avatars?
Pretty
Good, how are
good.
you?
You know,
Yeah, they're super cool.
awesome. You know what? I remembered last time, Abigail, that I asked you if you wanted like a crown or a tiara or something like that, and you said yes, and I actually didn't give you one. I don't know if
Oh, I forgot about that.
that's something that you want to remedy. We can do that some other time. But this time I
Yeah, we
saw
could.
okay I watched a video from a uh, YouTube channel that I really like. It's called Daddy Rolled a One, and the guy is like an encyclopedia when it comes to knowledge about Dungeons and Dragons. Like he's just he's like a walking encyclopedia of D&D, and he has these super interesting uh, videos that he kind of goes through the history of it, who did what happened when, and when the first time that you ever saw this in the game or that in the game, and like, and he just goes on about it. It's so educational. It's really, really, really cool. I really love his channel. I enjoy it very much, and I would actually recommend it to anybody who is interested in the topic. Um, thing is, he had a video recently that he um, said some things in it that it kind of made me cringe. So we're gonna have a look at it and we're going to talk about it. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me a second.
All right.
And we're gonna go. Daddy rolled a one. Do, 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 do. Fellow dad for D&D, and this is the one. This is the one. D&D had different rules for women characters? Question mark, exclamation mark. So, all right, let's see what the uproar is all about and what's so terrible about how D&D used to be done or thought that it could be done. Let's have a look.
RPG professionals began writing articles for Dragon Magazine that began to expand and explore the scope of the game by creating variants such as new classes, spells, and monsters, but also delving into mechanics like combat and magic systems, or offering philosophical essays on the background and the purpose of the game. We're going to talk about some of these fundamental early creations in our overview of Dragon Magazine issues number 2 and 3 today on
Okay,
Daddy Rolled a One.
cool. So I'm going to move it up to the part that he kind of starts criticizing a little bit. So, I mean, usually he loves these guys, right? These old-fashioned Dungeons and Dragons creators and everything, but his politics start showing through, and he just can't abide some of these concepts, and he starts to, be a little judgmental about it. So, let's go ahead and listen in.
So it's not. But in any event, I really like a lot of Len Lakofka's content. I think it's very creative, and it's interesting to read it from a standpoint of being one of the early pioneers that were there at the beginning of this hobby, creating content for the game. This article is definitely not one of those things that I particularly like. It's I want to say it's a product of the time, but I think even at the time, this would have been viewed as being very, very sexist. So I bring it up because one, it's we're talking about Dragon Magazine. This article's in there. It is going to have a legacy later on that I'm going to get to, but the implication of this, the premise of this article is that women characters should have different characteristics than male characters. And then it goes through to explain this, and it is very, very sexist. So
Okay.
um,
All right. So, just so that you guys kind of, you know, hear him set the stage, he's given us a warning that, the way that these supposed rules were laid out is very, very sexist. Okay. So
Oh
let's hear
no.
what they are, and then we'll kind of we'll kind of talk about, whether it's really such a pearl clutcher or not. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm gonna take you up to 1109.
Else, not as a player character. Only as fighters are women clearly behind men in all cases. Okay, so I told you it's quite sexist. So to the point that he actually Glenn's going to change the abilities for female characters from women characters. So he says strength. It says 18-sided die and one 6-sided die. I think that's a typo. It's got to be because there are no 18-sided die, and it wouldn't make sense. I think what it's supposed to say is strength is determined by one 8-sided die and one 6-sided die. So you're creating a score from 2 to 14. So it's basically saying the maximum strength a female can have, a woman character can have, is 14. And he says wisdom, intelligence, dexterity, constitution all use the standard 3d6 dice, so a score of 3 to 18. But any woman who has a score of 13 or 14 in strength can add 1 to her constitution score. And then instead of charisma, he's going to get rid of charisma and give women a beauty score, which is rated on a...
Okay, hold on. All right, so first of all, there's a lot in there. Len Lakofka, so he was a friend of Gary Gygax, an early game designer. He proposed that, hey, well, women are clearly, as he says, weaker than men.
Yeah.
And he's... Go ahead, Abigail.
So they're like just physically weaker. Like, sorry, I interrupted you, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, this made him chuckle, right? Daddy rolled a one, chuckled at this. He said, "Only as fighters are women clearly behind men in all cases." And then he chuckled about that. But like really, and then he starts talking about, they have a maximum of 14 strength. What's so funny? Like, does that contradict reality?
True.
I mean, am I missing something here? I mean, like, if you think about it, like, okay, so an 18 strength would be like what, Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. So, have you ever seen a woman that big?
No.
So what would a woman of 18 strength even look like?
Exactly, like a bodybuilder, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Is that his actual name? Or wait.
Well, listen. There's biological realities. Abigail, you play sports. How come you're not playing against the boys?
Because I can't. Because I'm like smaller, slower, and I can't even physically have as much muscle as them.
Whoa.
Like,
I can't believe
that's
you
not
said
possible.
That is so sexist.
Oh.
That is very, very sexist.
Is
Is
it
it just
sexist if I'm a
reality?
woman saying it? Exactly.
Or is it just kind of reality, right? Is it just kind of, well, that's kind of how it is. I don't see what's so like incredibly scandalous about this. I really don't. Like, is the scandal the idea that men and women are different physiologically?
Yeah.
That one of the sexes has greater muscle mass than the other? Is that a scandal? Is that what's
Apparently.
laugh worthy? Are we laughing at that as though it's not true or something? Like, don't believe the evidence of your eyes. Just make sure that you view them all the same.
TikTok tells you. Yeah.
Okay, so Abigail, tell me, like, playing D&D, would you want to play with like less strength?
I mean, what do you mean by that?
So if you were playing a female character and you had a maximum of 14 strength, but you didn't have any other clear advantages, would that be Would that be like pretty crappy?
I don't know. Like only strength I would have, and no other
Yeah.
advantages. Is that what you're saying?
No, your strength would be capped at
Yeah.
14. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
that would.
no other like advantages really to compensate for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I can see like game wise how that would be, you know, um
A little.
little limiting, like not I mean, it could be
Yeah.
like because then you've got all these kids and no one wants to play a girl, or maybe girls aren't might lose interest in the game because it's like, well, I can't compete with the boys. You know what I mean? Um, and so like game wise, I don't have a problem at all with doing 3d6. You know, keep no difference between the sexes strength wise or anything. Like I don't have any problems with that. I think it's fine game mechanics wise. Because I just otherwise like why would anyone want to play a girl because they're going to be clearly deficient because they're going to have automatically lower strength, right? So
Yeah.
so for game play, I'm fine with it. I don't care. What do you think, Josh?
I think it would just be a log on gameplay, sort of drag something down, be an extra thing to look for. It's not like a horrible, like, worst thing that they definitely could have come up with for like female characters. But
Right, like it's not like they said, "Oh, they can't think," or you know what I mean?
it's,
you
it's
know,
not like they
they,
can't
they
do physical things. It's just overall, no one really wants to play with those. No one would really play with those rules too much because if all the characters are equal, or you have a girl who likes to play a fighter, I wouldn't really stop her from having a high strength score. But it's all up to,
yeah.
well, it's all up to if the whole table likes it.
Because I mean, it is a game after all, so it's kind of like whatever. I that part doesn't really. I mean, we're all suspending our beliefs, you know, for some fun, right? Like, there's dragons, there's goblins and skeletons, and so like there's wild out there stuff, and the idea that like the women are physically as capable as men, that's another suspension of disbelief, like you just kind of, okay, I'll accept that just because we're playing this game and, that's fine kind of thing. Um, so, but what gets me is it seems like the implication here, and there was a lot of uh, people that were, you know, commenting on Daddy Rolls One's video here, that this concept of having different stats is itself sexist, like there's something egregiously wrong about it, as though it's like some kind of a like caveman view of men and women. But is it in fact some kind of antiquated caveman view of men and women, or is it just in fact an accurate reality of men and women? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like, how many really tough women are there out there, right? I mean, there's some that go in the UFC and stuff, but like, I mean, but most of the women out there, I mean, they need protection, right? That's why they want the protection of strong men, and that's always been the thing, for uh, thousands of years, that women have sought the protection of men because they're strong and um, fierce or capable or whatever, and they and so the men really shine in that respect, and the women aren't trying to directly compete with the strength of the men because that's not where the strong point is. So anyway, those are some thoughts that I have about that. Well, I'm going to share my screen again, you kiddos.
Alrighty.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think that people are too feminist these days
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Like we're trying to
for
erase
that.
differences
Because,
between
like,
men and women. Go ahead.
yeah, like, they they keep talking about it like they're trying to get even. Like, can they just forget about it and then we be even? They're trying to get ahead of men, I think.
Yeah, well, certainly that's what feminism has become. Uh, you know, um, basically tearing men down and trying to make women like men. That's really what it's trying to do. And so, any like
Yeah.
erasing of differences between the sexes is the goal, right? They're trying to uh, make it as though any differences between men and women is totally social convention, and none of it is biologically driven. So they're trying to make it seem as though it's something that was imposed upon uh, society, upon women from top down, not something that's innate within us and just how we have segregated ourselves in our societal roles. So that they think there's this patriarchy that us men were holding women down into what they see as inferior positions uh,
Yeah.
in society, which I think is really mean to women's roles. But they think that there's a cabal, a group of powerful people doing this, and have been doing this since all recorded history, and it's not that women want to stay at home and do the things they do, or that sort of thing, or they're just better at those things, or and that men are you know more capable hunters or whatever, whatever it was, like uh, men were stronger and were, able to provide the protection, things like that. So, you know, clearly, like there were roles that worked really well for thousands of years, and now they're trying to change these, basically eliminate the woman's role completely and give everyone a men's role. So you've got women becoming like men, and so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So that's where this
Yeah.
that's, that's where his thoughts are kind of coming from, right? That's why he's chuckling at something that is so absolutely self-evident, where Len Lakofka says, "Hey, look, and this is actually I don't this doesn't seem sexist to me at all. It's actually pretty charitable to women because he says only as fighters are women clearly behind men in all cases. See, so he's saying, look, it's just their strength. There's nothing
Yeah.
else about them that is, clearly like deficient. He's not saying like, well, they got smaller brains, so they're dumb or, anything like that. Um, they can even have a high dexterity score, even though, men are faster, right? So he's, being pretty charitable to women for the game, you know, as far as the game goes. Uh, but it's clear that, women just don't have the muscle mass. They're not as strong. And like, to laugh at reality, like there's something wrong with it is just, it's interesting. Like
Yeah.
I say, I like this guy's videos. I like his channel. I really, really like it. I got a great channel, you guys. I think he's probably a really nice guy. I'd love to have a barbecue with him. I think he'd be lots of fun to talk to. But this politics stuff, I just can't. It just grinded my gears this time. I just can't believe the silliness of it. So you were
Yeah.
gonna say, Cindy? Josh, were you gonna say something, bud?
Oh, uh, nothing that hasn't already been said. I mean,
All right.
to be honest, it's not really horrible limitations, but I could get why people don't want to play with them. All I could see is it just taking longer to make a character, and that's annoying.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, let's hear what he says again. So, like he was saying before, Len Lakofka actually considered adding a separate attribute score. So you know how you have like strength, intelligence, and all that, a separate one for women. So let's hear a little bit more about that. I did rewind it just a little bit, so we might capture a little bit of what was already said. So here we go.
6 dice, so a score of 3 to 18. But any woman who has a score of 13 or 14 in strength can add 1 to her constitution score. And then instead of charisma, he's going to get rid of charisma and give women a beauty score, which is rated on a scale of 2 to 20.
Okay, a beauty score instead of charisma right here, right? Instead of charisma, beauty rated from 2 to 20. Thoughts on that?
I mean, that's pretty realistic.
I mean,
Also,
Guys aren't really going out grabbing women permanently with their good looks alone. Women obviously need
yeah,
personality, but they can surpass a lot with just looks.
yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Looks can get you so far.
Well, that is certainly true. Like, guys are, often funny, because they, it's part of their becoming attractive to females, right? Is being funny, and like when women aren't under that kind of pressure to be funny to the boys, right? Because the boys are already interested in them, right? So they don't need to also be funny. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
so the boys, they have to jump through all these hoops to prove to the girls that, hey, I'm worth your while. Hey, look at me. So, but yeah, no, girls can get very far on their looks. Now, as far as this beauty stat goes, to me, it's my only problem with it is that it's on a scale of 2 to 20. Should be out of 10. You know what I mean? Oh, she's
yeah.
a 10. That's the scale. That's the scale, She's a
Yeah,
10.
nah,
Yeah.
people need to start rating themselves on 2 to 20.
Yeah, it's like,
Everyone's
what
gonna
would that be divided by 2? Okay.
saying
Yeah, it should be out
I'm
of 10. That's the only problem with the beauty score. Now, like, and if you think about it, like replacing charisma with beauty, I guess that makes sense according to what we were just talking about, because like, you know how they even have a word for it now, where you're risen a girl. You know what I mean? You're using
Yeah.
charisma. You're using charisma. That's what the word comes from. Charisma.
Oh
You're
my gosh, really?
rizzing.
I thought it
Yeah.
was just something people made up.
It comes from the word charisma, right? So it's like basically you're using your charm to, you know, flirt with her and get her attention in a positive way. And so, that would be something that would be required for men, right? Like charisma. So, but girls don't really need or rely on doing like rizzing up gentlemen, do they? Like it's not really a thing. They just have to be pretty, right? So
Yeah.
um that's the difference, right? And that's the game. That's the game between men and women, right? So I mean, from the reality standpoint, this all makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why we need to laugh at it. I mean, maybe that's not the best way to structure the game. Maybe it doesn't work for Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But the problem is that he seems to be laughing at it as a basic concept for humanity. You catch
Yeah.
my drift? Like,
Yeah.
So, all right, so let me continue to share my screen here, kiddos. All right.
So, um, okay, I don't really see what the point is of doing that. So I'm not trying to make fun of Len. I'm not trying to make fun of any of this. I'm pointing it out because gameplay has changed, and but again,
All right, so he doesn't see the point. He doesn't see the point in that, but really like what is the strength of women?
Just less than men, but
Well, what's the strength? Like think about like an old-fashioned cover of like a fantasy novel or something like that. Let me see if I
Women are
can
not
pull
going to be the
something.
muscular ones.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be the boys.
And if they are muscular in some way, it'll probably be to enhance their feminine attributes.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully I don't, come up with anything inappropriate here, but like if you look at like, you know, book covers or something, oh, that's super grainy. Can't really see that. Um, the men are muscular, the women are beautiful, and they're in trouble, right? They need to be saved, right? So there's an example, right? And this you see this pattern over and over and over because men are stronger, men are protectors, right? And the women, are beautiful and an object of desire. And so, as a having beauty as a stat becomes highly, highly relevant for women because of their role in, you know, men and women dynamics. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so, and I'm not saying like this is the way we should play D&D. Like, I don't really care. Like, if someone wanted to play that way, or if you kids decided you wanted to play that way, I mean, that's fine. But like, I don't really think we need to. But I'm just saying, like, it's not like it's an incorrect idea. It's not like the idea is false or faulty. It is it's a clear, common, commonly observed uh, verity. It's just something that is absolutely and undeniably true. So,
Yeah.
all right. So let's listen up to what he has to say now. So, well, wait, hold on. Before we go, I want to kind of finish that thought that I was having. So he says he doesn't see the point of it, but really, like, women's beauty, that's their strength, right? The beauty of the woman is the tool that she has to, basically affect the world. You know what I mean? Like with a man, his tools are his brawn, right? His ingenuity. The woman's tools, and this is from common experience. Like if you just see the way the world has worked for the last 6,000 years, if the women they have their beauty, they are naturally objects of desire for the men, and they use that to their advantage, right? That is a tool, a resource that they have at their disposal, right? So I don't think it's outside of, the realm of reasonableness, or I don't think it's beyond the pale to, try and recognize that within the game. I just don't see any problem with that at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know what he's saying. Like his thinking process.
Well, it goes back to, what I was saying, like it comes down to this difference of
Yeah.
like why are men and women different? Is it because of biological reasons? Like we're looking at here, the man is stronger, right? The woman is, you know, less physically strong, but she's she's beautiful and capable in other ways, like bearing children and such.
Yeah.
Is it the biological differences that make the roles between men and women different? Or is it the fact that this guy, strongman, is trying to keep her down in a subservient role, doing things that are less important, so that she can't be as awesome as him? That's what they call patriarchy. And, it's it's a gonzo idea about the way the world works. It's silly. But that's the premise that he's working under. That's why he's coming up with these silly ideas, and that's why he thinks that this clearly true statement that women aren't as strong as men that's why he's laughing at it, because to him he thinks all differences between men and women is just a mindset. It's like a social construct of this guy deciding that this is the way it's going to be, girl. But the truth is, there's biological reasons. There's differences biologically. Biological reasons for why we have had the traditional roles that we've had for so long.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to continue listening? He's got more stuff. So
Sure.
Sure.
And at the time, this was an exploration of like, should there be differences? Because this was all pretty much being designed and thought of and play tested by men. And this is how they kind of thought that things could work. Okay. So some of the
okay. All right. So because the game was designed by men, he's saying men are giving women less strength because men designed it. Does that make sense?
Do you think it'd be any different if there was a woman involved in designing it?
That's where I'm going with that. Like, what if a woman designed it? Would she have put the women just as strong or stronger?
I mean, probably.
Like,
I
if
mean,
a woman designed it, would she have seen it different with the strength?
I mean, a woman is currently the CEO of Mattel, which has Barbie. And, Barbie hasn't really changed much in body shape.
Except for the song about Ken being enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Barbie movie, I guess, was like a super feminist propaganda.
But Ken's the real hero of the Barbie movie, and everyone agrees.
I know. Everybody loves Ken because he's enough.
Super base.
I'm just Ken. Where she sees grassy love, she sees a friend.
What will it take to make her see the man behind? I forgot the lyrics.
Is that from the Barbie movie? Like the new one?
Yeah, that's the best song.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. Anyway.
It's like the only good part of the movie.
Just like Sometime Around Midnight by Airborne Toxic Event.
Well, okay. All right, so it's this way because men designed the game, and that's how they thought it could work. That's what he says. But really, okay, is it because men designed it that women aren't as strong? Is that why, or is it just because they were trying to make the game realistic?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like,
is that okay?
I'm like 90% sure it'd be the same if a woman helped design it. Like,
yeah. Now, if a woman helped design it, maybe she would and back in the 70s, maybe not, but like nowadays, she would probably say, "Oh yeah, maybe they would probably wouldn't have a problem with a beauty stat, necessarily, if it worked to their advantage."
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know, like they might put women as smarter, but like really, there's no clear indicator that women are smarter on average. In fact, I think that men actually reach the genius levels more often than women, but
Albert Einstein.
I think in the average they're pretty close though, like men and
Women
women.
do tend to be pretty cunning, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So
Women,
that's going to come up a little bit later. He's going to talk about feminine wiles, and I'm sure we can talk about that. That's coming up. So let's see what he says.
Interesting stuff that comes out of this is there is a little bit of inspiration that you can take for world building. As an example, the level titles. So the level titles for fighter, he's changing them. So as an example, in original D&D, a first level fighter, the level title is veteran. Here it's fighting woman. It's clunky. We're not going to use that. But stuff like battle maiden or shield maiden or Valkyrie, those are some kind of cool terms that could influence your world building if you wanted to include them. So like there, in Tolkien, among the Rohirrim, there are shield maidens. So you could think of it as sort of being like a special class of warrior among the Rohirrim. And I think that's kind of a cool way to look at it. So the cleric titles are pretty bland. They're basically just changing the male version or the masculine version of words to the feminine. So instead of a deacon, a deaconess, and a canon, a canoness. So not a lot there. The thief ones are extremely sexist. So the thief level titles, and this is going to affect the rest of this article. The implication is that a woman thief is there to manipulate men and get them to do what she wants them to do. So
Okay.
The
So
thief titles
before
aren't
he,
really that flattering for the guys either.
yeah, I that's the thing. Like thieves are like the skeezy class, you know. These are like the people that are low brow, you know
These
what
are
I
like the
mean?
Han Solo.
Yeah, yeah. Like and so that yeah, the thief level titles are non-flattering for the men as well. It's the nature of the class. It's the nature of the class that these are people that, you know, aren't good with in polite company. You know what I mean? That's what the thieves are.
Yeah,
So I mean, I just thought that was a little bit funny. But it's okay to have for the men to have unflattering uh level titles, right? That's fine. But if the women do, that's sexist. Is that
exactly.
yeah.
that's how it goes? That's how we're
Yeah.
rolling with Daddy Rolls of One. I mean, like I say, I really like the guy, lots of respect for him, but this is silly. We need to roll some common sense here. All right.
Yeah.
and you can just tell
Yeah.
from the titles wench and succubus and Sybil. Okay, so those are not something that I'd want to be inspired by in my game because it's extremely offensive, I think, to a woman player.
Okay. It's extremely offensive to a woman player. Okay, what about a man player for the level titles? Let's see. What are, you know, thief level title? Thief level titles in early D&D. All right, I guess we have. Yeah, here we go. Cut purse, sharper, pilferer, master pilferer. Like, you know, like a robber, a burglar. Like those are pretty unflattering. You know what I mean? Like when you say, "Oh, that person's a robber, that person's a burglar, a cut purse." You know, that's a pilferer. You know,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Or for the assassins, which are like murderers and killers
yeah,
and thugs too.
yeah, exactly. Thugs, yeah, for sure. So this is fine, or you know, whatever. I mean, no one bats an eye. Like, not a big deal. Not worthy of making a video about anyway. But you know, if we're giving like titles to, you know, the women thieves who are also supposed to be just as skeevy as the men, then you know, all of a sudden we're clutching our pearls. So anyway, let's keep going.
The magic user titles, again, very similar in clerics in terms of just kind of changing the form of the word from masculine to feminine. So from enchanter to enchantress, whatever. Okay, fine. So a couple more things.
Hold on. Real quick, if I rewind this actually back to 14, I want to catch something that he said
Woman
there.
thief is there to manipulate men and get them to do what she wants them to do. So
Okay. So he said a woman thief is there to manipulate men and get men to do what she wants them to do. So,
So
is that okay? So if you have a female thief and she's, you know, would she not be doing that? I just don't understand. Would she
yeah,
not be trying to manipulate men, especially if she's not as strong, right? What other tools is she gonna have?
What else is she gonna do?
She's
Like,
gonna use lies. She's gonna use manipulation. She's gonna use her, you know, feminine appeal. All of those things to get what she wants. Not straight out stealing them because she's a thief. Of course, she's gonna rely on all those tools. Why wouldn't she? That's
yeah.
the type of character that she is. So,
Isn't that what
um,
Black Widow and Mystique do in Marvel Comics?
well, I don't know, bud.
Or maybe more so Mystique.
Yeah,
But yeah,
maybe.
that's
But I
what
mean,
female villains are best at, really. What devious female characters are tricksters, not brawlers.
yeah, I mean, and some of them are, but like again, that's like a suspension of belief, right? Because you know that,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
like
just
Wonder
that's
Woman or something.
fantasy. Like Wonder Woman or Rogue or something like that. Um, one of you guys must be moving around a lot near your microphone. It's
Yeah, I
making a
think
lot of
that's
noise.
Abby because I'm staying relatively still.
Okay. But
my bad.
yeah, okay. But yeah, it to me it's like, well, okay, if you are a thief and you are less strong, you know, clearly because we're going by these rules, right? In reality, we're trying to match reality between the sexes. Then why would, like, what other tools would she have? Like, think about it. That's exactly
And
what she
plus the
would rely
thief
on.
class in general. Like,
And yeah, so I mean, there's nothing really like wrong with this because other than it's like true to reality, you know what I mean? So it doesn't like the reality of, you know, the differences between men and women, but you know, and also like this is common experience, you know, like do women use you know, manipulate men to get what they want? No, they don't do that. They never do that. That has never
Yeah,
happened.
no way.
yeah.
I mean, there's a
Never
whole
heard of Amber Heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a whole divorce court industry because women do this. You know, like this is
Yes.
common. This is a common thing. You know, I mean, um, I don't know why this should be a surprise to anybody, you know. Um, hey, look, you know what? Most violent people are men, and the most uh, violent offenders are men in prison, right? But you know, women do their side of the coin with manipulation, right? So they manipulate to get what they want and work things to their advantage. That's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it. I don't know how this is any kind of a surprise that, you know, women might manipulate men to get what they want.
It's crazy. Never heard of that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, is it nice? Well, no, but like these are thieves. This is the thief class, right? So, I mean, I really don't see how that's out of line. But all right, well, let's keep going then. Let's see. Let's look at the fighting capability of women.
A couple more things that, again, are going to delve into the mechanics. If you see this down here at the bottom right-hand corner where it says fighters, and that gives you the hit dice, and then it gives you the fighting capability. So that fighting capability is based on the original system of combat in original D&D that is based on chainmail. And so in the rules for original D&D, it actually says you need chainmail in order to run this combat. Or there's an alternate combat system. Well, the alternate one is the one that ends up becoming the default that we still use today. Roll a d20, compare it to an AC, and to determine if you hit. And it's based on your level, what you're going to add, what bonus you're going to add to that d20. And in chainmail, it was based on how powerful you are as compared to a single figure. So when it says man, that was a singular figure, and then man plus one, 2 men plus one, 3 men, hero, that kind of thing. All those had values within chainmail so that you knew what that attack value was by referring to these charts. That's all that means. It's just interesting that even at this point, people had really shifted heavily towards what we, at the time was called the alternate combat system, but he is kind of.
Anyway, I think he's just kind of going on about stuff. We'll look at some other stuff as well. One thing that I do find interesting that I didn't even really realize until we started this video, this little sketch here of this cutesy girl fighter by a guy named Paul Jaquays. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So Paul, he ended up changing his name to Janelle and became was trans basically, and this was like really early.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I met this guy, he's dead now. So I don't want to speak, I don't want to speak ill of him. And then he did do a lot of really good things for the hobby as well. But I saw him at a convention, and I could tell right away on sight that, oh my gosh, this is not a woman, this is a man. I
think it's scarier when you can't tell.
I felt sorry for him. I did. I felt bad for him. It is too bad because he's denying what God made him to be. But anyway, so I just think that's a bit of a strange twist of irony here that, here we've got this original piece by Paul Jaquays back when he was using his real name. And, of a woman. And then he later had spent his life posing as a woman. And here we have, all this talk about, doing away with differences between men and women, but Paul Jaquays thought enough of the differences between men and women that he tried to change his entire life to become a woman, right? Because really, if there's not much difference between them, then he should have been just happy with himself as he was, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Anyway, very interesting. That piece of irony just kind of hit me as we were looking at that. All right, well, let's move on to Charm Person. Some of the changes in Charm Person. So let's see what you guys think about this. So let's see. Okay.
Again, very much the implication is that women are trying to manipulate men, seduction, and charm men. It's not charm person, it's charm man. And then there's tarot reading. So tarot reading is something that you could.
Okay, so what do you think of this idea of replacing the charm person spell with charm men right here?
I mean, if it's just changing the name or something.
I feel like if it's just changing the name, but if it's changing it just so women can only charm men, I think that it'd be easier to just do charm person.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if it's a magic spell, like charm person, keep it at charm person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what it does is it gets that person to think they're your friend, and they're going to fight for you and everything. But if they have this beauty attribute, then women should have a natural charm men capability. You know what I mean? Like it should be like an ability that they have, like charm men. And if they're really high, if they're like a 7 to 10 in their beauty, then they got a +3 to charm men or something like that. You know what I mean? Like and
Yeah,
I could definitely
that'd
see
be
an
smart.
application for that, and that I could definitely see an application for that, and that could actually could um, you know be an interesting dynamic that would make up for the lower strength ability score. Just some thoughts there.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
But yeah, anyway. But we're not supposed to think this way, right? Because we're not supposed to think that there's actually any difference between men and women, because this guy isn't any stronger or more powerful than this girl right here, right?
Exactly.
Right? We're not
You can
supposed to
see the
think this
muscles on the girl.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, in fact, in a modern movie or something, it would be, the protagonist guy would, be bumbling around and never make it, and she'd fight her own way out and defeat the bad guy. But wouldn't need to be saved by the man. She's capable of doing it herself, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but that's we're seeing a lot of that kind of idea because it's trying to trying to destroy the protector role of the man in society, right? And in relationships between men and women. And when you chip away at the foundation of what men are good for, it really makes relationships and families fall apart, really, because then you have women looking at men like they're not good for anything, and they're not respecting the men that they're in relationships with, and then they're going to be leaving them, and then they got broken homes and families. Upwards of 70% of divorces are caused by the women leaving, and so it all stems from feminism. All of these societal issues that affect the family, almost all of it does. It's a very sad situation.
Yeah.
But and we're trying to avoid that in our own family by following traditional roles, because we know that's what God wants, and that's that's what's going to be best for our family, and for you guys, you kids. All right, let's take a look. So we talked about charm person replaced with charm man. Now, that was a little weird, but I do think if you have a beauty score, then charm men just as like a female would be like a cool ability for them in the game. So all right, so let's see. He talks about women versus men baggage. Let's see, 17.
Take from this, you could remove all of the baggage of the women versus men and all that kind of stuff, and take this idea and think about, oh, could I have like a tarot reading ability?
All right, so he talks about women versus men baggage, but I don't. I think the baggage here for him, like the stuff that is just insufferable for him, is the idea that there's differences between men and women, and people are actually being insensitive enough to acknowledge them and highlight them, right? And so that's really kind of like a big deal, like, oh my gosh, that's a problem. You're not supposed to say that out loud. You're not supposed to even think that. That is thought crime. You're not supposed to actually believe or think that women aren't just like men, right? Because it's like we said, it's if you do that, then you're part of the patriarchy keeping women down, right? Because it's not biological differences between a man and a woman that drives these dynamics between them. No, it's the men being bad, keeping women down, and that's why there are different roles between men and women. So that's the whole idea. So this
Yeah.
men versus women baggage
Yeah.
to him is like men being bad towards women. That's what he sees it as. Like, to him, that's what this is. Men being bad towards women. It's not like this is just reality of men and women. To him, it's like, no, 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 that's bad. That's men acting bad towards women. This because he started out with the wrong philosophy, right? He's starting off with the wrong orientation. That's why I always got so far off track, because he thinks that, you know, this is all mindset and it's not biologically driven. That's wrong. So that's why he's in this spot. All right. Thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, I think you're definitely right.
Yeah, I'd say the rules, I would not recommend using them just out of the fact that it'll probably bog down the game, make it less fun for female players. But of course, if your female players are like full on ultra realists and like playing to their advantage and want to use the rules, then use the rules. Because, it's your game and you don't hurt anyone else with it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think he was being very, very judgmental of Len Lakofka, and people that would look at this and use this as a dynamic, because like a lot of these, and he was going to say later in his video that actually a lot of these principles were carried forward into Gary Gygax's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is really like kind of the major foundation of the hobby going forward, right? And so it's really kind of ingrained into it a little bit. And so, I mean, is it like a bad way to play? I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends like what you want to get out of the game. But is it unreasonable, like as far as reality goes? The answer is no, it's not. It really isn't, and like whether or not you want to play that way is a whole separate issue. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. Anyway, thoughts, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to listen to him talk about feminine wiles. Okay. Let's hear it.
Seduction, charm men, charm humanoid monster. It's all based on women using their feminine wiles to manipulate men to get them to do what they want. And we've moved past that kind of thinking. Okay.
He says it's all about women using their feminine wiles, their feminine charm. We've past that kind of thinking, he says. We've moved past that kind of thing. I'm sorry. Have women stopped using their femininity to entice men?
Exactly. Yeah.
Stopped? That's not a thing anymore?
Really? What universe is he living in?
Exactly. Yeah, no, we've moved past that kind of thing. So in other words, we no longer think this way. Like he's trying to say that, oh, that's a caveman way of thinking about men and women. We've moved past this. We're beyond this. We've progressed beyond it because we're so much better now. We're so much wiser. So now we just we don't even talk about, the idea that a woman might use her feminine appeal, her feminine wiles, to interact with men. Because when would that ever happen? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And is that sexist to acknowledge that happened?
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh, like that happens. That's
Yeah.
common experience, right? That's
Wow.
extremely common. Now, do men use their manly wiles to entice women?
Yep.
Like, well, but theirs looks much different, right? Like
Yep.
they're not gonna like uh wear low cut shirts and you know giggle and like toss their hair and like that. Like they're not they're gonna try and show off their brawn or how capable they would be as a potential provider, that sort of thing. Look at all the things I can acquire. Look how smart I am and clever I am. Figuring out things, and I'm a thinker, I'm a provider, that kind of stuff, because they know that appeals to women. But uh, with women appealing to men, like they know that is physical, is based on the physical, right? So women know that, and they play to that, and they use that, and that happens all the time, and they I just what universe are we living in where this doesn't happen, or we moved past this? you know I I just I'm astonished by this kind of this kind of viewpoint. Like it's so far from reality. It's just on a different planet, you know and it's too bad. It's too bad, because like I really like his channel. I think he's got a fantastic channel. Uh, just amazing. But some of this stuff that he said is just really he rolled a one on this one. Let's
Hmm.
just say that. He really did roll a
Yeah.
one. All right, let's look at some comments on here, because you can see that his fans seem to think in a similar way. There's this guy. I love how you don't pull punches on this at all. Okay, yeah. I love how you totally beat up on reality.
Yeah.
That's like, this is very, very sexist. It's like, yeah, good job. Good job. Okay. And then another one actually, where was he? Goodness gracious. He has his own RPG retro reviews. There's another guy with a really great channel on here that um, yeah, here he is, Captain Courageous. Now, Captain Courageous has his own really awesome channel. I'm gonna actually open this up because I love his channel, just like I love Daddy Rolls a One channel.
RP.
It's fantastic. I love watching his videos. He's got great reviews on old school stuff, old school products and things like that. So I really recommend it. I love his stuff. I really like him too. I like him as a person. It's just the same thing with Daddy Roll the One. Like when I have run into him online and he's made comments, his politics has shown through, and it's goofy. So he says, I've had recent players try to argue with me that women, quote, women in quotes, I don't know why he did that, but
Oh,
women can't have 18-0 strength. That's the highest strength. I have zero interest in attempting to relate game statistics to a real world counterpart. So at least he is acknowledging that this is reality. I think that's far better than what we were getting from Daddy Roll the One, because Daddy Roll the One seemed to be saying that the whole idea that men are stronger than women is just really, really, really sexist.
yeah. That's
And
just
here, Captain Courageous, at least
one of
he's
the
saying
truth.
like this is real world, right? But he's saying, no way I'm gonna have this in my game. Look, we're already, believing, suspending belief for dragons and magic. He says if my daughter wants to play a fighter and gets an 18 strength and rolls 0-0, that's something from advanced D&D, you guys. There's no way on God's green earth I'm going to tell her she can't because she's playing a girl. And to me, that just reveals the silliness of the entire idea. Okay, so point taken there. You know, like if your daughter and she wants to be a tough fighter, like, you know, whatever. Like, why? I mean, game wise, game mechanics, I don't know. Like, maybe that wouldn't be the greatest way to play. I don't know, unless you wanted to like balance it out with like, you know, the beauty stat or whatever, and have the woman, you know, be able to charm the guard or something like that. And you know, there's just a lot of possibilities there. So, but I don't know. Most of the time, you know, the girls want to play more like some kind of
Like
girlish class that
sorcerers
they can
and
relate
stuff.
to, like a sorceress, or if it is a fighter, like someone who's a beautiful fighter. You know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah,
really.
not
They don't want to be the
blurred.
female Conan. You know,
Yeah.
they want to be like a beautiful fighter or something like that, or you know, like Barbie with a sword, basically. I don't know.
Barbie
Anyway,
with a sword. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of that's a really interesting topic, you guys. I wonder if we're gonna get roasted in the comments. If we do, you know, you'll know basically what their working philosophy is. It's that they're not putting stock in, you know, biological reasons between these differences. They're thinking that this is all a mindset, a social construct, something that is imposed or has been imposed on men or on women from men, you know, forever and ever. But anyway, um, is this a great way to play? I've never done it. I don't know. I maybe not. Like if someone wanted to make a great case for it, or if Len, you know, already did, I don't know. But that's not really the point of this whole thing for me. The point was like, oh my gosh, like can't believe we are denying reality here by, you know, laughing at things that really should be axiomatic, things that we all agree on, you know, like the fact that men are stronger than women. See, like really, come on. So, all right, I guess Abigail gonna have to have an arm wrestle to see who's really stronger.
Oh yeah. You know, I think I might win. Just got that muscles, you know.
I've beaten you so many times in an arm wrestle.
I beat you in the thumb more.
Ah, there you go.
Ah, yes. Thumb strength. That'll really change the game.
I've been playing those video games enough.
All right, guys. Um, let's end it here. All right, we'll talk to you
All
later.
right.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.